Good morning, everybody. It is 9:58. We're going to give everyone a couple more minutes, and I'll start promptly at 10 to begin the advisory committee meeting. So I just want to say a quick welcome, and we'll get started soon. Okay, it is 10 a.m. Good morning. Welcome to the May 2022 Cemetery and Funeral Bureau Advisory Committee meeting. My name is Gina Sanchez, Bureau Chief. And before I begin, I just want to thank everybody for coming and participating in our hybrid meeting. If you're getting any feedback, please raise your hand and let us know. But just what I was going into, I appreciate everybody's patience in advance as we work out our first hybrid meeting where we're in 2 locations. We have a Southern California location at Cypress Mortuary College, Mortuary Science Program at Cypress College. And the members there are Jolina Grande. Oh, well, we'll do roll call in a second. And then we have our headquarters location here in Sacramento, where I am located, and a few others that I'll introduce in just a moment. So if you are wanting to participate with a public comment and you are not in either of these 2 rooms, you can use the Webex platform. I have a little feedback. Okay, there we go. Use the Webex platform, and you will have to have a mic on your computer. Otherwise, you can call in using the call-in number that's on the agenda. So all lines are currently on mute. So as the meeting progresses, through the agenda, the lines will remain on mute until I ask for public comment. Public comment will be available after each agenda item is presented and the committee members have had a chance to discuss the topic. So if you do have a comment, you'll type the word comment into the chat box, and the moderator will unmute your line, and you can unmute on your side, and you will be allowed 5 minutes. As a reminder to the committee members, once each agenda item has been presented, I will ask for discussion. If you have any comments or questions, you can, I'll just turn it over to Gino Cui over here, and then we'll turn it over to the Cypress location and kind of just go back and forth that way, since we don't really have to raise hands or anything. Does that work for you, Jolina? Oh, yes, okay. I'm so sorry. Yes, I got you. Okay, So this approach is necessary to facilitate this meeting and to ensure the Bureau can complete its necessary business. I appreciate everyone's understanding and patience as we navigate this format. So before we get started, I'd like to ask the moderator if you have anything else to add for instruction.
This is the moderator, and I'd like to say that you took my job.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. Well, if we have any questions as we go, and moderator, if you have anything to add, please feel free to intervene at any time.
Absolutely.
So I would like to take a moment to do roll call. So committee members, I will call your name, and please just unmute on your end and let me know that you're here. So this is, even though I can see you all, it's necessary for the documentation of the meeting minutes. So I'll start with Jean Okui. Here. Jolina Grande.
Here.
Chanel O'Farrell.
Here.
And Nicole Montague. Yes, thank you. Good morning. I just want to extend my gratitude for all of my committee members' time. I really appreciate you being here today in this voluntary role and providing advice to the Bureau on our multiple topics. So let me introduce a few people that are here from the department and the Bureau. So also here from the Bureau is Michelle Arthur. She's the Audit Unit Manager. As well online is Sandra Patterson, the Deputy Bureau Chief. From the department with us today is Michael Canos, our Staff Counsel. And we have, oh, Danielle's on here too, right? And, sorry. We also have Brianna Miller from the department's Executive Office. And, okay, I thought so. And Danielle Rogers, our Legal Counsel for Regulatory items. So thank you all for your attendance. I appreciate all your time. This meeting is being recorded and will be posted to YouTube at a later date. So that pretty much takes care of agenda item number 1, which is the welcome and opening remarks. Moving on to agenda item 2 would be public comment for items not on the agenda. So at this time, I'd like to take public comment. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to make comments, you may do so about anything not on the agenda. You may do so at this time. Please type the word comment or raise your hand and keep comments to about 5 minutes. Just as a side note, neither committee members or Bureau staff may comment on what's being said during this agenda item, but it can be taken for consideration as an agenda item in the future. So we'll begin here at headquarters. Is there anything you would like to comment on, Ms. Okui? Okay. Is there any other public comments during this time?
This is the moderator. We are open via Webex. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users may dial *3 to raise their hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment.
Okay.
Seeing no request for public comment, would you like to turn to Cypress?
Yes, is there anything over there to add? Nope. Okay.
There are no
Awesome.
members of the public requesting comment at this time.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, thank you, moderator. We're moving on to agenda item number 3, which is the update from the Department of Consumer Affairs. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Brianna Miller, our liaison from the Executive Office from the department.
Yes, good morning. Can everyone hear me just fine?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Oh, thank you. All right. Well, good morning, committee members. I'm Brianna Miller with the Department of Consumer Affairs' Board and Bureau Relations. Thank you for allowing me an opportunity to provide a department update to your committee today. I'd like to start my update with a note about the transition back to in-person meetings. On April 1st, boards and bureaus returned to meeting in accordance with all aspects of the Open Meeting Act, including publicly noticing all meeting locations. There is legislation, which is AB 1733, that would permanently allow boards and committees to meet remotely while also providing both virtual and physical options for members of the public to participate. Unfortunately, this bill was not heard in Policy Committee before the deadline, and therefore it will not move forward this year. Still, DCA is requesting that our boards and bureaus share with our Legislative Affairs Office any positions taken on AB 1733 and/or problems faced with quorum now that meetings are back to in-person, as it may still be helpful to share this information with the bill's author and committees. Moving on to in-person meeting guidance. Recently, Board and Bureau Relations distributed to all board and committee members guidelines and requirements to adhere to when conducting in-person meetings. In sum, this communication addresses requirements for meetings under the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act, making sure you adhere to local public health guidelines at a meeting location, face coverings, and vaccination verification and testing. DCA has also shared guidance and tips from California's Health and Human Services Agency to reduce the spread of COVID-19 for in-person meetings. Additionally, although state guidance has relaxed mandatory face coverings, the California Department of Public Health strongly recommends that individuals continue to mask in indoor settings. DCA has made available signage, which you can post at your meetings to notify attendees of these face covering recommendations. If you have any questions as you're preparing for your upcoming meetings, please do not hesitate to reach out to Board and Bureau Relations. Moving on to some notes about departmental activities, starting first with DCA's Open Meeting Act survey. DCA will be administering surveys until further notice to capture and track the cost and attendance for all meetings since April 1st, when all aspects of the Open Meeting Act resumed, to demonstrate the benefits of conducting remote meetings as allowed under the prior executive order. We have distributed to all board and bureau leadership a request that staff complete the survey 30 days after each meeting held. Again, should you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to Board and Bureau Relations. And moving on to a brief note on your Bureau's budget. Having noticed that a budget update is on today's agenda, we want to just provide a quick note to let you know that DCA is committed to working with the Bureau on its budget and fee proposal. Our executive team, budget office, and legislative affairs will continue to work with Bureau staff to provide support and assistance during this process. Next, I'm pleased to announce the release of the DCA Enlightened Licensing Report. DCA is pleased to announce that the inaugural report of the Enlightened Licensing Project is now available and was distributed to all boards and bureaus on Friday, May 13th. This innovative and collaborative project was started to streamline and enhance licensing processes by utilizing the knowledge and expertise of subject matter experts within DCA's boards and bureaus. This inaugural process was conducted in partnership with the Board of Registered Nursing, and after a thorough assessment of the board's licensing processes, the project's co-chairs provided recommendations to introduce new ideas and implement best practices for all critical licensing activities. DCA hopes that all boards and bureaus can learn from this report and implement recommendations where applicable. Moving on to key positions filled at DCA. I'm excited to share 3 new members of the DCA executive team that began serving in March. Tanya Corcoran began serving as the department's first Compliance and Equity Officer effective March 2nd, and in her role, she oversees DCA's Solid and Training, the Organizational Improvement Office, EEO, and the Internal Audits Office. Additionally, Terrence Brash joined DCA as Chief of the Division of Investigation, or DFI, effective March 28th. And as the DFI Chief, Mr. Brass leads a team responsible for providing investigative services to DCA's boards and bureaus with the mission to protect and serve California's consumers. And last but not least, Didong Farhadi was selected to serve as the department's Internal Audits Chief, also effective March 28th. As the Internal Audits Chief, Mr. Farhadi oversees audits efforts to provide independent and consulting services designed to add value and improve departmental operations. Finally, I'd like to notify you of some changes in board and bureau relations. So on the flip side of our new arrivals, we have some departures. Carrie Holmes, Deputy Director of the Board and Bureau Relations, has left the department. Her last day was Friday, May 13th. And with mixed emotions, I'd like to share that my last day will be Friday, June 10th, as I have accepted a position with another state agency. And on that personal note, DCA has been my home for over 10 years and has provided me so many great opportunities, including the ability to meet and form relationships with such wonderful people. So I will thoroughly miss DCA, and I'm so grateful to everyone who's made it a great home for the past several years. And during this transitional period, please rest assured that DCA Executive Office and Board and Bureau Relations will continue to ensure the continuity of services to all DCA's boards and bureaus. And that concludes my presentation. As always, we are here to help your bureau, and please don't hesitate to reach out if there's anything we can assist you with. Thank you.
Thank you, Verona, for that report. Very thorough. I will be filling out the survey with regards to our meeting. Even though we're not a board, I know that our feedback on this type of meeting is definitely relevant and important. So
yes,
we're doing that. Also, I'm excited about the Enlightened licensing report. This is a report that a project that I was a part of and participated in a bit, and kind of on the outside, not developing the report. And I'm excited to take those recommendations and so on and really use them as we bring in business modernization with our new platform I'll be talking about in a few more agenda items. So it really was great timing for that report to come out for us specifically. So I look forward to that. And you will be greatly missed. Thank you for your service to this department for all of these years. You know, you're always welcome back here at this department. I am sure of it in many locations, but I wish you the very best on your next endeavor at your new department. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
Is there any public, or is there any committee discussion, any committee comments? None up here, any down there at Cypress? No? Okay, so I'd like to move on to public comment. I'll turn it over to the moderator.
We are now open for public comment via Webex. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users may dial *3 to raise their hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. And I saw a hand from Joe Henson, but it went down. Please raise that hand again if you do wish to make a comment. We're going to wait just a few seconds to see if we have a request. Seeing no requests for comments, do you wish to return to the agenda?
Yes, thank you. Okay, so moving on to item number 4, update on Bureau activities. So this has A through E for Bureau activities, as you'll see on the agenda. I will speak to the first 3 and ask for comments, and then I will turn it over to Michelle for D and ask for comment, and then I'll just make a quick comment on E, and we'll have to ask for comment one more time. Yeah, that's the way we'll do it. So the first 4A is staffing. So I'm very excited to announce that 2 of our staff was nominated by CFB Management for the department's Superior Achievement Award. So this program recognizes a superior job performance resulting in an exceptional contribution that exceeded their scope of their employees' regular job duties. So the Superior Achievement Award program is in accordance with government code and the Department of Human Resources, also known as CalHR. So unfortunately, the 2 staff members that I am presenting these to are not available today for this meeting, but I still wanted to take the time and the moment to publicly recognize them. First is, we have 2 awards. So first is Mona Matthews, and the second is Carolina Salmons. So I'm going to put, and same for Carolina. So this was for their work and efforts during the unit trust regulatory package and multiple packages that we had to develop, their consistency, their diligence, and really exceeding the expectations here and really getting an amazing package and program for that the industry and that the Bureau was supportive of. So both of those come with an award along with a small monetary award as well. So I just want to say congratulations to both of them, and we really appreciate a job well done. So thank you both. We'll just move right along. I was going to do a whole thing and give the award, but we'll just move right on. Okay, so moving on to the budget. As part of the meeting materials, there was a fund condition provided, and with a preparation date of May 9th, 2022. So the governor recently released the May revised budget, which now includes an appropriation the Bureau is expected to receive in 22-23 to support its business modernization efforts. So an updated fund condition was prepared on the 17th that reflects this. I have that in front of me, and so just give me a moment, and I'm going to share my screen so that as I go over the fund condition a little bit, I can show you where that difference is. But there really is only a few numbers that are different, so if you are looking at the fund condition prepared on May 9th, you will still be able to follow along with me. Just a moment to pull it up. And to remember how to share my screen.
This is the moderator. In the center at the bottom.
Share. Okay. Wonderful. And okay, how is that for everybody? Perfect.
Looks good from here.
Okay, so I wonder if I can shrink. There we go. Okay, so this is where my document shows the date of the 17th, where it's prepared by, but, oh, you know what? I don't think I printed those talking points. That's okay. That's okay. I have wonderfully prepared talking points for this document. However, they are not here in front of me. So we'll just go down this document here. So the fund condition has not historically been provided at the Bureau meetings regularly. I feel that this is something that we should be transparent about and in discussion with the industry and stakeholders, so we have, some transparency on where the budget is. So this document there's 4 columns. First one says PY, which would be the previous year of 2020, 2021. The next column says CY, that's our current year, 21, 22. So if you see over to the left, it says 2022, 23 with 21, 22 F9 projections. What this means is that in current year, we've only gone through 9 months of spending so far, and then we have projected the remaining months. Budget year is the following year, and budget year +1. So it takes us out to 23, 24. We began our year, our beginning balance here is this top line. We have an adjustment, and that brings us to our final beginning balance in the beginning of each of those years. The first section is our revenues, transfers, and other adjustments. So this is revenue, money coming in. You will see the first line delinquent fees. Our second biggest area of revenue is our renewal fees. The biggest area of revenue here is other regulatory fees. That would consist of our initial licensing fees as well as the regulatory fee of $850. That includes both of those. Our licensing fees altogether, all of those. And then it goes on to other income here. So that brings our total revenue, as you can see, is 4.3 for previous year. Current year is expected to be about the same, and it is projected to go down a little bit. So moving to expenditures. So this first line of expenditures that says state operations, this is, as you can tell, business operations. Cost of doing business is these. So 4.2 million, 5.1 million, 5.5, and 5.7. This is where my document is now different than yours. It says BMC2 resources. This is the cost $791,000 for BizMod. So we're adding that to, it has its own line for its expenditures for next fiscal year. The next is our state operations pension payments, and then our pro rata for state, not pro rata for DCA. DCA's pro rata is in that top line of 4.2, 5.1, you know, that line up there. I wish I could grab these numbers better with my highlighter. So total expenditures here, and then this brings us to our fund balance. As you can see, last year we had a very large reserve of 10.5 months, and it is going down drastically. So even without the BizMod, if you're looking at the one prepared in 5.9, I mean, on May 9th, even without the business modernization efforts, we would still be, you know, in the negative that fiscal year 23-24. So there is our months in reserve. There is our fund condition. I appreciate Brianna Miller's statement that the department is going to help us, and we're going to continue to work with stakeholders as we kind of make sure that the fund gets in better balance. So that is our fund condition, and we have, yeah, that kind of just moves us right into business modernization, and then I'll pause for comment. So with the business modernization, it is a new software platform that is getting implemented. We're currently on an old legacy system, which is the black and green screens. We don't have that interaction with consumers or licensees in our program. It's very keying driven, and it's, you know, 30 years old. So we have identified the vendor and the platform that is to be implemented. The California Department of Technology has approved our project plan, and we are expecting a start date of this month. We've already had our opening meeting, an introductory meeting, and we're going to start, the project timeline starts now. So the timeline is expected to be 18 months for a list of things that we need to get implemented. And then, of course, just as IT is supposed to be, it'll always be an ongoing project of some sort, you know, implementing new things with IT. But we have a set project for 18 months to implement new processes. However, they will be released on a flow basis. So the first one we are expecting to work on and be released first would be the funeral director application, as it is our second biggest application pool. The cemetery salesperson application is already online. So we're moving on to the funeral director application as the very next one. All staff will be working with Sandra Patterson, the Deputy Bureau Chief, as she is the project owner overseeing the implementation. I'm looking forward to this project a great deal. I think it's been a long time coming. We've had some delays with the pandemic and various things, so I'm glad we're picking this back up again. And we'll be announcing all of our incremental achievements through email blasts and Facebook posts and websites, so just keep posted. So I can go back to sharing the fund condition if asked, and I can open it up for committee comments on staffing, budget, and business modernization. None up here. Anything in Cypress? No? Okay. Okay. So moving open to public comment, moderator, please.
We are now open for public comment via Webex. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. And it looks like we have a raised hand from Laura. Bear with us just a moment. We will send you a request to unmute your microphone. And Laura lowered her hand and looks like she declined the request to unmute. We're going to wait just a couple more seconds to see if we have a request. Seeing no request, you wish to return to the agenda?
Yes, thank you. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Michelle Arthur, our Audit Unit Manager, for an update on our annual trusts. Our trusts and annual report.
Good morning. Just a brief introduction on annual reporting. The cemeteries and funeral establishments are required by law to submit an annual report to the Bureau. Cemeteries must submit an endowment care and special care fund and report, and the funeral establishments are required to submit a pre-need funeral trust report and or a pre-need funeral trust declaration of non-reporting status. We affectionately call that a DNR. These report requirements not only are essential to the legal requirement and assist the Bureau in fiduciary oversight responsibility in ensuring consumer trust funds are protected and being properly handled. The Bureau provides oversight for over $1.4 billion in endowment care funds, over $811 million in cemetery special care funds, and over $711 million in funeral pre-need funds. That's a total of over $2.9 billion, which is overseen by 6 staff members. The audit unit works diligently with licensees to get them into compliance through the progressive disciplinary process, beginning with the issuance of late notices 30 days after the respective due dates and additional notices every 30 days. After the third and final notice, the audit unit refers to the enforcement for cite and fine. For cemeteries, which should be the chart you're seeing right now, each year.
Let me go like this so you can see the slide. I'm going to move you. There is the show.
Okay. Each year on June 1st, cemeteries must report their endowment care and special care trust funds unless the Bureau has approved a fiscal year reporting period in lieu of the calendar year. As you can see by the pie chart, the 2020 reporting statistics are here. So 52% are on time, within another 35% are within 30 days. So within on time in 30 days is about 80%, 87% are received on time. Those reports that are not reported, after 5 months of non-reporting, a $2,000 cite and fine is issued and a order of abatement to file that report. Next, on to funeral establishments.
Next slide, please.
Each year on May 1st, funeral establishments are required to submit annual reports unless the Bureau has approved a fiscal year reporting period. These reports require funeral establishments to identify whether or not they are enter into pre-need with consumers, and if they do, the Bureau then requires an audit of the trust funds by a CPA. The two reports that are required are the funeral pre-need trust fund report and the DNR. For the 2020 reporting year, the chart states that about 36% are received on time and another 24% within 30 days. So 60% are usually reported within 30 days. The majority of the late reporting is due to funeral establishments forget that they have to submit a DNR every year. That is the majority of the reasons why there's so much late reporting on that 90 days. After they receive a couple of minutes, it's like, oh my gosh, I forgot, so I'll submit that right away. And then nextly onto the quarterly reporting. So next slide, please. This is a combination of the four quarters, kind of broken up into each quarter. Each quarter, cemeteries and crematories, and now hydrolysis facilities are required to submit a report and applicable payment for the number of interments and cremations performed during the quarter. This is what we call the regulatory fee. Again, the audit unit works diligently with licensees to get them into compliance. After the third and final notice, the audit unit refers to enforcement for cite and fine. The Bureau also will not renew the license of any crematory, cemetery, or hydrolysis facility that has failed to pay their quarterly charge. As these figures are for 2021, so 87% of the time these are received within 30 days, so for the first quarter. Second quarter, that jumps to 90%. The third quarter, which seems to be our best quarter to be reported, is at 92. And lastly, the fourth quarter, again, is at 92, but 57% report on time. And the next slide is a combination of all reports for the quarter. So 61% of the time, reports are filed on time throughout the entire year. 30 days is 29%, so that's a total of 90% of all quarterly reports received within the year for the cemeteries are reported on time.
Oh.
Next is the crematories. So here again is a breakdown of each quarter. For the first quarter, 81% are reported within 30 days. The second quarter, 85%. The third quarter, 82%. And the last quarter, 87% are received within 30 days. And the next one is the total for the year. So 83% of reports are received within 30 days. The quarterly reports are generally pretty good. We only have a few that are not reported, and those are usually just, oh my gosh, I forgot because we didn't have any interments or cremations that quarter, and we do work with those licensees. I don't have a chart for hydrolysis, but the Bureau has licensed one hydrolysis facility, and the first quarterly report for the first quarter of 2022 was received on time.
Okay, that's it. Well, thank you very, very much, Michelle. Is there any committee comments on any of the reporting statistics? Anyone in? I've lost my, how do I do that? There we go. Now I can see you again. I had hid you for a moment. So, okay, so any comments down there, Jolena?
This is Jolena Grande at the remote location at Cypress College, and I want to thank all of the Bureau staff for the information that was provided in the reports. And I just have actually one question and one comment. The comment is regarding how effective we are at collecting. It's amazing that within 30 days after its due date, we can get a majority of compliance. But the question is, how impactful is it that we are not regularly receiving the reports when due and we have to continually prompt for the reporting? So just wondering the impact on Bureau operations for not receiving timely reports.
Yes, thank you for that. Although I completely agree with you that the amount of on-time reporting, especially for COAs and up in the 80% with crematories, is great. Those that are late, it's not impactful to our revenue as they tend to come in within that same quarter or shortly thereafter, so it is eventually collected. So really, it's just on the staff resources of issuing late notices. That's all done by hand. Nothing is automated. Hopefully with this new system, reminders can be automated so that it won't impact resources as much, but we are very paper-driven and manual Bureau at the moment. So it takes an audit staff member to do the reminders, and then it goes over to the cite and fine staff member to cite, and then a manager to sign it and then put it in the mail. So additionally, if they don't pay the cite, they then get another letter after 90 days and 120, and so and then no renewal. So it does end up being a process in the end if for continued non-reporting. Thank you so much for that question. Okay, I'll turn it over. Well, I'll just do quickly the consumer guide, and then we'll do public comment for both trust reports and consumer guide. I know I said that opposite last time, but I just want to bring it up one more time. The Bureau has put in a lot of effort already in the revamping, not really revamping, the revising of the funeral consumer guide. We expect to have it out at the next advisory committee for comment and feedback. So that is in October. So this is just one more request to please send the Bureau any edits, suggestions, what you do want to see, what you do or don't like about the current version, so we can make sure and get everything. I think we've already received some feedback. We've definitely received feedback on, addresses and things not being correct, or someone has moved. Our associations have a different mailing address that we've listed. So those kinds of things have been updated, and the Bureau staff is working on the verbiage. So any tips, recommendations, you can email cfb@bca.ca.gov, or email myself directly. Give us a call. We can chat about it, whatever works for you. So any committee comment on the consumer guide before I open it up to public comment? Nope, none in Cypress. Okay. So moderator, please open it up for public comment.
We are once again open for public comment, this time on 2 items. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. Let's take just a moment now to see if we have a request for public comment. Our first comment comes from Dale Lasek. Hopefully I said your name correctly. Please feel free to correct me if I didn't. We are sending you a request to unmute your microphone.
See, Dale, are you having a hard time unmuting? It appears you're unmuted. If you'd like to type in your comments into the box, that would be okay too, if we're having technical difficulties.
Can we have an audio text slide, please? Dale has written, info changes all the time. Can it be updated regularly?
No. Information on, the consumer guide. Very good question, Dale. Yes, those minor changes of addresses or the list of consumer contact information for consumers, yes, that can be updated on a flow basis. The whole girth of the whole program or the guide itself should really be done also probably more annually, if not every other year, to do updates. But yes, addresses and contacts and things of that nature that I think are more towards the back, those should be done on a flow basis. If it hasn't been, I'm sure that's, it could be a resources issue, I'm not sure, but please, you can let me know and we'll get that updated right away. I hope that answered your question. If you have more, please feel free to type in, or you can always email me also.
The response
After the meeting.
says, is it printed or just online?
It is just online.
All right. Our next request for comment comes from Jerry Desmond. Bear with us just a moment. We're going to send you a request to unmute your microphone.
Chief and Advisory Committee members, Jerry Desmond with the Cemetery and Mortuary Association of California. Just noting, as the consumer guide is updated as appropriate, is that I think, as many members know, there are inventories at the cemeteries of the consumer guides, and so there's a coordination of supply as we transition to the new guides. Just to be noted, if it were to be updated frequently, there would be some challenges to depleting your existing supply and getting. That's all. Thank you.
Jerry, very good point. Thank you for that comment. Absolutely. I know this version is being driven because we have added hydrolysis this year. And that's kind of why I'm really taking my time for this revision. So I appreciate that comment, and we'll keep that in mind as future revisions are taken under consideration.
Next, Dale would like to know, how do we review and make comments on the draft?
Okay, so you should be able to download it electronically. You can line it out, and if you have that kind of capability on your computer, you can send us an email. You can give me a call. You can send us a letter. However you would prefer. If you have a list of things that you would like included, you know, there's whatever would work best for you, for depending on what you're looking for as your edits or inquiries to it.
So I understand I can download it. I'm not sure where to find it. How do I find it?
Oh, that's a very good question. So on our website, csb.ca.gov, if you go to kind of in the middle of the page below the purple buttons, and then, you know what, why don't I share my screen? Share. Oops. Here. Okay. Hi, Dale. Thank you. Welcome to the meeting. I'm glad you can make it today. Okay, so here's our website. If you go down here to the word consumer and then consumer guide. When you click consumer guide, there's a PDF version that you can download, and it looks like this. It's the actual like book. Or you can click into this area, and it's literally just text like this that you can copy paste to a Word document and use track changes, for example, anything like that. So you have two options. You can just do the written, or you can download the PDF of the actual booklet. Okay, I hope that answered your question. I will go back to not.
Okay, got it. Yes, that was perfect.
Okay, cool. Am I not sharing anymore? Okay, there we go. I'm off. Okay, is there any other comments on this area?
That appears to be all of our requests for comment at the moment. Would you like to return to the agenda?
Yes, thank you.
Gina, we do have a comment from the committee member here at Cypress.
Great.
South Philly Mortuary. Again, thank you for this meeting. I know we're talking about the consumer guide. However, on the form that's on the Bureau's website, maybe it's our computer, but we're having a hard time pulling the forms up. For instance, the declaration for cremated remains, I'm having a hard time with that, and the disclosure of treaty. Kind of as we go, we print those forms. Thank goodness I have.
Yeah, the declaration, the Declaration of Cremated Remains, and what was the other form you said?
The funeral agreement.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that may be a technical difficulty on our end too. So I'll bring that back to Bureau staff, and we'll check the links. And then we can send you an email after this meeting and give you those PDFs specifically, so you don't have to get them off the internet.
We have another question.
Sorry, hi, Chanel Farrell with Hollywood Funeral Home, and thank you all for your time in this meeting. And thank you, Jolena, for hosting down here. For the consumer guide, I know you mentioned that a revised copy will be given for the advisory committee in October. Will that also be available for the public to review and make any comments, just like you have the current one now, or will it just sort of be an in-house thing?
Thank you. Yes, I'm going to put it out to the next meeting, but it won't be in a final already published printed on the website. It'll be there publicly exposed at our next meeting for comment for our stakeholders here. And I would love if more public would comment and really the consumers tell us what they want to hear or see, know in that booklet. So October will be kind of our final input, and then I hope to have it out by the end of the year. And that'll give, you're welcome. And hopefully that'll give everybody kind of some time to work through their stock between now and the end of the year.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we're moving on to item number 5, 2022 legislation update. So our update today is going to be specific to legislation specific to Cemetery and Funeral Bureau. Although there are many other bills out there that the department is watching, those specific to Cemetery and Funeral are what's talked about here today, and there is only one currently that is out there. AB 351, the reduction of human remains and the disposition of reduced human remains. This bill would require Cemetery and Funeral Bureau to license and regulate reduction facilities, which the bill defined as a location where natural organic reduction of a human body occurs, and reduction facility managers, and would have enacted requirements applicable to reduction facilities, which are substantially similar to those for crematories and hydrolysis facilities. This bill would require a local registrar of births or deaths to issue permits for the disposition of reduced human remains. So that'll open up, that's kind of the high level of that current legislation. I'll open it up to committee members for any discussion. Is there any up here? Any down in Cyprus on this bill? Oh, yes, I see Chanel.
Hi, thank you again. I just want to say that it's very exciting, I think, to see the beginning of this legislation being put together and being considered. And it reminds me of like the early days of the hydrolysis movement. And now we're actually seeing that in practice. And so I feel like considering that, I think the first facility was just in the, was it in Washington State that is doing it? Yeah. So that was rather recent. And I feel like California is just jumping right in there. And so kudos to everyone that's involved in getting this going. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I agree with that comment. The author over, this is, I think, the third time it's gone through, because you were right, hydrolysis had several years before we could, the Bureau and the stakeholders and the author really got the wording down and all the technical advice. So the author has been very open to the Bureau's technical advice, which has been great. And so we don't have a position on the bill, but we are very interested in seeing where this bill goes and where it takes the industry. We have one hydrolysis facility, as Michelle mentioned, so seeing that actually in practice was very exciting for us and, the field reps and so on. So, we are very anxious and anxiously awaiting to see where this bill goes. And if this is its year, so thank you for that comment. Okay, we'll open it up to public comments.
We are open for public comment on this matter. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order where we have requests. We're going to take about 15 seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comments, would you like to move to Cyprus?
There we go. We'll move back to the agenda onto the regulatory regulatory update. Thank you, moderator. Okay, so continuing with agenda item 6, our regulatory updates as of May 1st. We have 3 updates I'll go over the first two, and then we will pause for comments, and then we'll talk about the proposed language a little bit, and then take additional comment there. So specifically, AB 926 and AB 795, cemeteries unit trust conversion. The Office of Administrative Law approved the rulemaking file, and it became effective on January 5th, 2022. So the Bureau is accepting unit trust applications. Let's see. The next bill is also in relation to that, AB 830. This regulatory package let's see, this action without regulatory effect amend the type of work experience required for a cemetery authority who is applying for the unit trust. And that was effective as of March 17th. So just in regards to those two regulatory packages that have been approved since our last meeting, is there any public comment or any committee comments on either of those two? Those are kind of the final unit trust regulations that had gone through. Anything down south there? No? Okay, we'll pause for public comment before moving on to our to my presentation on the regulatory package.
We are open for public comment via Webex. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. And our first request comes from Jerry Desmond. Bear with us just a moment, and we are sending you a request to unmute your microphone.
Thank you, Chief and Advisory Committee members. Jerry Desmond, Cemetery and Mortuary Association of California. We want to express our appreciation for the long effort to develop and complicated effort to develop the regulations and application to implement, the unit trust conversion opportunity for endowment care funds for cemeteries. We believe that with this conversion to a unit trust distribution method, the long-term growth of these endowment care funds will be enhanced, to the benefit of California consumers. So we appreciate that this is across the finish line and that cemeteries may now apply. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Yes. We are in a good position with unit trust now, so I appreciate all the hard work. Okay, I'm going to move. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
No need to apologize. That's it.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to go on to the last bullet. You're used to hearing this presentation from Carolina Salmon. She has provided me notes, so I am going to be doing a little bit of reading here. So I apologize for that, but I will pause at the end of it. I'm going to explain I'm going to be going through the package and explaining why things were done in each area. So lastly is the review of the proposed language and notices for AB 293, which is the pre-need funeral arrangements unclaimed property. So this bill has a delayed implementation date of January 1st, 2023. So what that means is that this regulatory package needs to be noticed, out for public comment, and approved by Office of Administrative Law by January 1st, 2023. The new law establishes procedures for when and how pre-need funeral arrangements that are not claimed upon a beneficiary's death should escheat to the state under the unclaimed property law. It requires a funeral establishment that intends to cease operations to provide notice to beneficiaries or trustors and trustees of pre-need funeral trusts with certain requirements. So the Bureau continues to prepare the entire rulemaking file to this end. The Bureau is presenting for review the proposed language and notices, also known as forms, that are available as meeting materials. So for reference, the proposed language shows underlined text. This means text is being added, and strike-through text, which means that text is being deleted. The Bureau proposes to adopt and/or amend the Title 16, Article 8 of Division 12. That's where you'll find it, of the California Code of Regulations. So you're going to hear me say a lot of numbers right now. The Bureau is proposing to add a new section, So the new section is 1267.1. That'll be the second thing I talk about because we go in number order. But we are amending sections 1267, 1274, 1275, and 1277.5. And now I'm going to take each one of those one by one. So we're going to amend section 1267, keeping of pre-need books, accounts, contracts, and records. This is to correct spelling and punctuation errors and to renumber the subdivisions as necessary to accommodate the additional requirements in this section relevant to 293. So they include additional record-keeping requirements for all funeral establishments holding pre-needs funds, those accepting the transfer of another funeral establishment's pre-need arrangements, and funeral establishment record-keeping requirements for escheated accounts. So in order to incorporate, oh, yes, please display the text. That would be very helpful. Thank you. So in order to cohesively, coherently include the record-keeping needs, that's why we renumbered the subdivisions and corrected spelling and punctuation, as you'll kind of see. That's just cleanup. So that's 1267. We plan on adopting a new section, 1267.1, and this is to establish the requirement for funeral establishments intending to cease business operations to use the form designated by the Bureau and to describe the additional information that must be included with the funeral establishment's notification. So yes, thank you for showing that. 1267, perfect. And then if we can scroll up to 1267.1. There we go, perfect. So this is, as you can see, we had to add something specifically for those intending to cease business operations and what they need to do in accordance with the statute. Okay, so we can scroll down to 1274. So we want to amend 1274, inability to perform, to add requirements for funeral establishments intending to cease operations by reason of dissolution, closure, sale, revocation, when the funeral establishment intends to transfer its pre-need arrangements to a successor establishment. Typically, under 1274A, if the funeral establishment were to close, they would need to return all pre-trusted money to the beneficiaries. This can be detrimental to a family because they bought it at a much lower price and now it's returned to them that they cannot then move on to another. So it's really up to the beneficiary whether they want to transfer or just get a refund of it. So this really is a great consumer protection area where it can be transferred. So first, when a funeral establishment is not transferring its pre-need arrangements and is sheeting or canceling the arrangements, they shall use the form Notice of Cancellation of Pre-Need Funeral Contract. However, if when transferring the pre-need arrangements, the funeral establishment shall use the Notice of Transfer of Pre-Need Contract or Agreement to Successor Funeral Establishment. It also defines the type of proof of notice to the funeral establishment ceasing operations that it's required to provide. So these two forms are available as part of what's online, the proposed package for review and comment. Moving on to amending section 1275, please. Requirements of pre-need trust agreements. This is to correct punctuation in subdivision D and adding a comma after the word address in subdivision F2, so just all very minor cleanups, and adding a comma after the word rules. So it also corrects a formatting error by separating the alphabetized run-on paragraphs. So can you scroll down just a little bit? Yeah, okay, I think we've already, yes. So see all those I, J, Ks. So we are, in subdivision H, Oh, yeah, sorry, separating the alphabetized run-on paragraph into individual paragraphs, which is how it is looked at in other areas of our law. And then correcting the spelling of pre-need without the hyphen. So these changes do not materially alter any requirement, right, responsibility, condition, prescription, or other regulatory element of 1275. So 1275 amendments are solely just formatting, punctuation, and ease of understanding and reading. Again, we're also doing that for section 1277.5, which is the next section. Disclosure of pre-need funeral agreement, subdivision D, to make the sentence grammatically correct by inserting the word be. So as you could tell, the package looked a little bigger than it was because there are some areas where if we're going to go ahead and move this through, we really need to take advantage of our opportunity to do so, create less work for us in the long run, and work out these formatting errors and things that have gone on, you know, that just, no matter how many times you look at something, even all the way up through Office of Administrative Law, we can still miss things. It just goes to show you. So this concludes my presentation of going section by section. But honestly, the ones that I would really appreciate a closer look at by our stakeholders and by our associations is the adopting that new section of 1267.1, the record keeping amendments in 1267, and inability to perform that has the two forms in 1274. So I know that the language was just put out earlier this week, although it was noticed on the agenda timely, the materials got put up this week. So if I don't get very thorough comments today on this, I would appreciate written comments or giving me a phone call, sending me an email on comments over the next couple weeks, because I am we're on a very tight time schedule for this. So first, I'll open it up to our committee members if they have any comments on our forms or our regulation for a sheet map. Anything in Cypress? Nope, nope. I do have time to go line by line if anyone's prepared to, but otherwise, like I said, I will always take comments later written if there's more. So I'd like to open it up for public comment, please.
We are open for public comment via Webex. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will take comments in the order we have requests. And our first request comes from Jerry Desmond. Bear with us just a moment. We are sending you a request to unmute your microphone.
Thank you. Jerry Desmond with CMAC. Just noting that the requirements established by AB 293 are new for funeral establishments in the industry, and that we were engaged in the development of the language and the law, and we recognize that the draft regulatory language was just issued and just approved for public dissemination, and our group is looking through the whole document extensively, and we just haven't enough time to provide substantive comments today, but we are working expeditiously to see if we have comments or suggestions to provide to the Bureau in the next week or two to meet the time, deadline and time frame.
I appreciate that, Jerry. And any comments that we receive, any suggested verbiage that we receive is greatly appreciated now in this arena. I know that we, through the regulatory process, we will open it up for additional comments, but if we can really get any language ironed out before then, it does make that process go a lot faster. So if I can't incorporate your comments or if I have confusion or concern, I will be reaching back out to you, Jerry and CMAC, or if there's multiple and it would be more efficient, we can have another stakeholder meeting for it. But I'm looking forward to those edits, Jerry. Thank you very much. I appreciate that comment. Okay, any other comments?
At the moment, there are no more requests for comment via Webex.
Okay, and then more up here. So we will move on to the next item. Okay, licensing statistical report. Cheryl Jenkins is not with us today, so you're stuck with me again speaking, everybody. But she did provide me her notes. So we do have handouts that go with the statistical licensing report that are available on our website. So all data is for the current fiscal year of 2021-2022 as of March 31st. So this is not a full fiscal year. Since, as she states, since we are still in the fiscal year, the data is tentative and will not be final until after the fiscal year closes. So first slide that we have up is licensing performance measures. So licensing performance measures, or we call them LPMs, they are target timeframes for processing applications that are received complete. A complete application means that all required fees are paid, all the documentation is submitted with the application at the time of receipt by the Bureau. If upon review anything is missing, it is considered incomplete and a deficiency letter will be sent. For applicants that are complete, the target timeframe you'll see right here in the middle column. So license type is on the left. If anyone has questions on those acronyms for license types, please type it in the comments or let me know. The next column is our number of completed apps received and our target time frame, and then our average actual time frame. So as you can tell, we are within time frame on everything but the embalmer application. We're outside at 2 days, but that's what we're working on to get back under that time frame by the end of the fiscal year, when we have to report our performance measures. So let's see, moving on to the next slide, we will see the licensing performance measures cemetery salesperson. So this is our online applications versus paper applications. In February, CFB launched an online application for cemetery salesperson. This allows the applicant to submit and pay for the application online. This has reduced the average wait time for applications licensed to be issued. As of March 31st, 2022, the average time frame for processing complete applications received online is 9 days versus a paper application that's 15 days. So we have successfully cut out 6 full days for the online application. So we definitely are excited to see that number as we move forward with our BizMod efforts. We can move on to the next slide, is licenses issued. As of March 31st, 2022, CFB has issued a total of 809 new licenses during the current fiscal year so far. We have received requests to renew 4,896 licenses with 56%, renewed online and 44% renewed by mail. The reason we think the 44% is still so high, well, we know it's still so high, is because cemetery salespersons, many cemeteries or brokers will pay for multiple cemetery salesperson licenses with one payment. Because we don't have a cart option yet, I think that's kind of on hold until we go through BizMod. That will continue to look like this until we can get fully a cart option for the cemetery salesperson licenses specifically. Okay, moving on to exam pass rates. We have had a total of 257 candidates sit for an exam. So our pass rates are reflected here. Pass is blue, failed is the yellow color, and they are consistent historically, these pass rates. So the funeral director pass rate is 50%, embalmers 97% pass rate, brokers 56, cemetery managers 59, and crematory manager 92. So the most common, we'll move on to common application deficiencies. So these are what make an application not complete upon initial review. So having these upon receipt, sending them in with your application will speed up the process and ensure that you have a complete application upon first time it being looked at by a Bureau staff. The reason we speak to this is because incomplete applications, of course, is a resource issue. We have to send a deficiency letter. We then wait until response and then have to pull the file again. So it's just touching the file an additional time. So ensuring that you have everything before you send it in we have wonderful people on the phones that can help make sure your application is complete. So, please reach out and hopefully we can get these common deficiencies eradicated. I guess I'll pause there for a moment, not necessarily for, is there any comment from Cypress or from committee up here on those before I keep moving on to exam development? No? Okay. Moving on to exam development, we continuously work with the department's Office of Professional Exam Services on exam development for the 5 exams that we administer: funeral director, embalmer, crematory manager, cemetery manager, and cemetery broker. So we're very excited to announce that we have completed the embalmer examination development, and we anticipate the new exam going live in July. So very exciting. We are now moving on to the funeral director, occupational analysis and exam. So please keep an eye out for recruitment to licensees to help us with that. We need those subject matter experts to help us build that examination. So we appreciate everyone that's helped over the years with that, and that continues to be a part of our exam development process. It's an ongoing thing, so we are always going to need licensees to help in that area, and we just greatly appreciate that. Remember, you do get licensees, you do get, it's not called a stipend, but you do get $250 a day for volunteering. So we want to put that out there. So you should be getting emails. You can always reach out to us directly if you're ever interested in becoming a subject matter expert for our examinations. So is there any committee comments on licensing and exams? Okay, I'll pause for a moment, open it up for public comment before moving on to the enforcement side.
We are open for public comment via Webex. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hands. We will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to return to the agenda?
Yes, thank you. Okay, agenda item number 8, enforcement statistical report. So again, all data is for current fiscal year 21-22 as of March 31st. So this first slide is our inspections completed. As of March 31st, CFB has conducted a total of 921 inspections of licensed funeral establishments, cemeteries, crematories, hydrolysis facility, cremated remains disposers, and brokers. CFB is mandated to conduct an annual inspection of all cemeteries, crematories, hydrolysis facilities, and 5% of cremated remains disposers. So that this one has our year-to-year comparison. So of course the blue, which is right, of course the yellow only includes that first 9 months. So that's why it's so much lower. But typically we will see about 1,200 a year is pretty standard for the amount of inspections that are completed. Okay, moving on to the next slide. These are total number of complaints received. We have received so far as of March 736. I know in April, I believe received about 100, so I think we're up over 800 so far this year, with 3 more months to go. So 2 more months to go after we include April. So 33% are against cemetery licensees, 67% are against funeral licensees. However, not all complaints received are substantiated. Some, if they cannot be substantiated or proven, they are then closed. If we do receive violations, that then moves over to discipline. So we'll go on to, which leads me to our next slide of the number of citations issued. So as of March 31st, you saw that we had 736 complaints, of which 120 resulted in citations. Of course, they're still open and ongoing out of that 736, but that kind of gives you how many that we can substantiate. So not everyone knows what the Bureau's jurisdiction is, so I just encourage to make the complaint, let us determine if it falls within our purview or not, or whether we can substantiate or not. So I don't want this number to dissuade anyone from making a complaint, just showing how many are really being able to be substantiated. So moving on to our most common violations. So these are, we have it broken up a little bit more than with the application. So this is the most common violations that we're finding for our cemetery side, our cemetery licensee. So obviously failing to file its annual report, which we got reports from Michelle today on, thank you. The 7653.6B is failure to supervise, which of course the manager is in charge to ensure that the cemetery is in full compliance. So those kind of go hand in hand. And then maintenance standards and failing to pay the regulatory fee, again, on what was reported earlier, and then a professional conduct are top. Moving to the next one is against funeral side licensees. Again, the manager is the top one, and then moving on to price ranges on CPLs and GPLs. I know that's a lot of manual labor to ensure that what you have out and what you have online and what you have on this paper and this paper, but they all need to be the same. So we do catch that as one of our top violations. Failure to display your license, obtain a declaration of disposition, or fully execute one, which means a signature is commonly missing, and then charging a fee in excess of what the death certificate cost is, so which is another top one we have found. Moving on to my last slide here. So these were pre-pandemic most common violations that we had seen as a comparison to kind of what we're seeing now. I think this was brought up at one of our last meetings, so we're trying to be responsive to a question from one of our last meetings. And so they're pretty much the same, except the death certificate one made it to the list post-pandemic. So pre-pandemic, we're still seeing designated manager filing the report, CPL and GPL not matching. I apologize for using that as an acronym. That is the goods and services price list or the casket price list that a funeral home or cemetery will have at their establishment. So I apologize for that acronym. And then failure to include all caskets is kind of the one that fell off from the post-pandemic. So that finishes my my spiel for the enforcement statistical report. Is there any discussion by the committee on these stats? Any down in Cyprus? Nope. Okay, let's open it up for public comment, please.
We are open for public comment via Webex. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to close comments at this time?
Yes, please. Thank you. Okay, so our last item is more of just a business of the committee. So we have let's discuss our next meeting date. I know we're missing 3 members here, but I have sent an email to them. October, our next meeting is typically held in October. The Bureau, in all of its, meeting rooms and technology availability, we would prefer the date of October 11th, and was wondering if the committee had any feedback on that date. Otherwise, I can throw out another one.
The consensus in Southern California is October 11th. Sounds good.
Ah, good. How about you, Jean? Oh, and we're good up here too, Mr. Knotes. Good. Okay, we will have our next advisory committee October 11th. Tentative time 10 to 12, of course, unless you know we have to move it a little bit around. But we'll put it in here at the department so we can reserve that time, and we'll see everyone at the next meeting on October 11th. I appreciate you, Jolena, and Cypress College. Special thank you for your room and your technology. Nicole and Chanel, thank you so much for making it out. I really appreciate. I do miss the in-person, but I'm very grateful for you guys to make it, and I'm appreciative that we could save everybody a little bit of time and cost. So thank you very much, everyone that has come. It's been a great meeting. Do I have to take public comment on meeting dates?
That's up to you.
I can if I want to. If anyone has a public comment on our meeting date, I would be more than happy to take it.
We are open for public comment on the meeting dates. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. And our first comment comes from Dale, who says, "Love the Webex option, otherwise I couldn't make it. 10:11 is fine."
Wonderful. Thank you, Dale. I appreciate that comment. Looking forward to virtually seeing you there. We will continue with the WebEx. I think that it provides a lot more exposure for us and a lot more opportunity for consumers and our stakeholders. So I appreciate that. All right, everyone. I am adjourning the May Advisory Committee meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, Cypress.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you three very much.